Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Moms Making Money. I am Marli Klaus, and I am really excited about today's topic because it is answering another one of the most common questions that I get from women who are considering becoming a sleep consultant or who have just completed their certification. And that question is, how much is it actually going to cost me to get started? Or can I start my business on a low budget? And I completely understand this concern. When I started my sleep consulting business, I was working my full-time corporate job, raising three kids, and trying to be smart about where I invested my limited funds. I wanted to get up and running without breaking the bank, but I also wanted to look professional from day one. Another big consideration for me was that I wanted to be able to leave my full time corporate job to do this full time. And that meant that I needed to pinch pennies a little bit so that we could start saving money and setting ourselves up for success financially and be able to make that happen. The good news is, whenever you are starting a sleep consulting business, it can be incredibly cost effective in comparison to other businesses. You don't need inventory, you don't need a physical location, and you don't need expensive equipment. You also don't even need to invest in expensive marketing materials like business cards or flyers right away. What you do need is a way to get in front of potential clients, a way to manage those clients, and a way to accept payment. So today I'm going to break down three different approaches to launching your sleep consultant business, each with different levels of upfront investment, both from a time and financial perspective. I will walk you through the pros and cons of each of these approaches so that you can decide which one makes the most sense for your situation. So grab your notebook or open your notes app because I'm about to share some really practical information that could save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars as you launch your sleep consulting business. So to start, before we jump into the options for managing your clients and your business online, let's start with the baseline expenses that everybody needs to think about whenever they're starting this business. First, you're going to need to invest in a sleep consultant certification program if you have not already. You want to make sure that you get the education that you need to be able to best support families. Everything that we're going to talk about starts there. If you don't know how to help people, you won't be able to build a profitable business. Obviously, we highly recommend our program at the Cradle Coach Academy. And if you want more information on what to look for and how to decide which program to go with, check out episode 45 that we did just a couple of weeks ago, where we walk you through the most important things to consider on that front. We will also link that episode in the show notes. So that is your first investment cost, and it will typically be your largest investment cost. The second thing that you need to consider is liability insurance. Depending on where you live, in most countries, you will need to have liability insurance to protect your company. This ranges from about $250 to $350 per year. Next, you want to think about costs for formally establishing your business in the state or country that you live in. While this is not a requirement to do right away, and many students do wait to do it until they're starting to earn money more consistently, it is important for protecting your personal assets and is something to consider doing early on. You can typically do that directly through your state or country's government websites to save quite a bit of money, and it can range from about $50 to about $500 depending on your location. The other thing to keep in mind is that no matter what approach you choose that I'm about to go through, you still will have to have a way to send contracts to clients and to get contracts signed. Some students use paper copies in the beginning so that they don't have to pay for a service that allows them to send that for signature electronically. So now that we have those basic expenses out of the way, let's dive into the various approaches that we recommend for launching your business. And I'm going to go through these options from the least expensive or least upfront investment up to the highest upfront investment. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first approach involves options that require essentially no upfront investment from a financial perspective. This involves leveraging existing platforms that connect parents with experts like I Help Moms, or managing one-on-one clients through options that require no upfront investment, like invoicing clients directly through PayPal, Zelle, or Stripe. So let's start with I Help Moms. This is a platform that is specifically designed for parenting coaches, and that includes sleep consultants. You create a profile that explains your services, and you set your per minute rate, and then you're ready to start taking clients. Parents can book sessions with you, and you get paid through Stripe after every session. The huge advantage here is that there's no financial investment required to get started. You can set your rate anywhere from $1 a minute, which equals about $60 an hour, or up to 5 or even $6 per minute for more experienced consultants. You can also set minimums, which will require clients to book at least 10 to 15 minutes with you. This platform works particularly well if you're trying to fit sleep consulting in around another job and you don't have a ton of time to invest in getting everything going. So, for example, if you work from home, you can set yourself as available on I Help Moms during your breaks or after hours, and parents who are looking for immediate help will be able to connect with you right away, and then you get paid right away. The main limitation of this approach is that I Help Moms is a landing place, not a lead generator. So you still have to find ways to direct potential clients to your profile for them to be able to work with you and pay you. This could be through social media, networking with other professionals, or local community groups. I have had several graduates who start with I Help Moms while they build their experience and their client testimonials, and then they transition to their own website once they have a more established client base. Others will continue to integrate I Help Moms into their ongoing strategy while also working with clients one on one independently. It's a fantastic way to start generating income and start building your confidence right away without any upfront costs. The other option that I mentioned earlier that could be a great choice whenever you are on an extremely tight budget is using Stripe, Zelle, or PayPal to accept payment. These options are completely free to set up and they only charge you whenever you process a payment. So you don't have to pay them anything up front, and instead you only actually pay something if somebody pays you first, right? And so you can use this in combination with something else that's free like Google Forms for your intake forms and questionnaires. The downside is that this approach is not as streamlined or professional looking, and you will spend more time manually managing the process. But it definitely works in a pinch if you need to start with absolutely minimal investment. One other quick tip that I want to add here is that even with this minimal approach, you want to make sure that you have a professional email address. Rather than using something like sleephelp@gmail.com, you want to invest the $6 per month in Google Workspace to get an address like Marli@yourbusinessname.com. This small detail makes a huge difference in how potential clients perceive your professionalism. Approach number two is the second lowest financial and time investment upfront, and this is the CRM approach. This involves using a customer relationship management system, which is also known as a CRM, that is combined with a social media presence or local networking to be able to reach your audience. For the CRM component, my top recommendations are Dubsado and Honeybook. These platforms allow you to manage your entire client journey from sending proposals and contracts to completing payments and delivering your services. They essentially function as your business hub without the need for a full website. I personally prefer Dubsado over Honeybook, and here's why. Dubsado allows you to create what they call generic flows, which essentially are public links that allow potential clients to access without you having to create a project or a client account in your system first. So you can send a link to a prospective client and they can enroll and pay you directly through there. And this also means that you're then able to use that link on your Instagram bio or Facebook page, or just to send directly to somebody who you've been chatting with via message or text message or phone. And so this allows them to book and pay without you having to do any back and forth communication or without you having to manually enter them into your system. Honeybook, which is also excellent in a lot of ways, currently requires you to have a client's contact information logged into their system before you can send that person a proposal or an invoice. So it just creates an extra step in the process that can sometimes lead to a lost sale or just extra work that you don't really have time for. So while these platforms are not always super intuitive to learn how to use in the beginning, we help you out with that at the Cradle Coach Academy by providing full instructional videos for using Dubsado as a sleep consultant. Both platforms also have a lot of free video tutorials online that are super helpful. Both of these platforms cost around $40 per month, although they both usually have really good sales or discounts for your first year. Sometimes you can get an entire year for one of them for under $100. which is amazing. If you do end up spending the $40 monthly fee, that could literally be your only business expense if you choose this route. And that's pretty amazing whenever you think about it and whenever you think about typical expenses for other businesses. So this is definitely a great option to get you started and get you started really quickly. The last approach that we're going to talk through involves creating a full website. This approach requires a bit more of upfront time and or financial investment, but it does provide a more established professional presence from the beginning. Transparently, most clients are not really going to care about a website. This is usually something that is more important to us than it is to a potential client. As long as the client has a way to find us, learn more about what we do, and a way to pay us so that they can get started, they will typically be just fine with that without having a website. I do know from personal experience, though, that it can feel really empowering and important to have this going right away. So it's definitely something to consider and something that we want to provide options for as well. So when it comes to creating a website, you have two main options. The first option is going to be the most expensive, and this option is to hire somebody to actually build a website for you. This typically is going to cost anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 or even more, depending on the company that you hire and the complexity of the website that you are requesting. The advantage to this is that you will get a professional result without having to learn website design yourself and without the time commitment that it takes to do that and build it yourself. The downside, obviously, is the cost, right? The second option that you have with building a website is to build the website yourself using a user-friendly platform like Systeme.io, Wix, Squarespace, or Showit. There are lots of other options out there as well, but these are the most commonly used and the ones that we typically will recommend. Using one of these options will significantly reduce the cost of building a website, but it does require more time investment from you. With either option, you will need to purchase a domain name, which will be your website address, like the Cradle Coach Academy. This usually costs about $15 to $20 per year, and sometimes you can find package deals where you pay around $50 to $70 for 3 years, which will include usually like privacy protection and some other features like that. If you do decide to build the site yourself, my personal recommendation is Showit. That is the platform that we are currently using for the Cradle Coach and the Cradle Coach Academy, and we absolutely love it. They have very affordable monthly plans that start around $27 or $30 per month. Showit is extremely user-friendly. It is the easiest platform to use that I've ever used, and I've used many platforms, even if you have minimal tech experience. If you are familiar with Canva and what it's like to design things on Canva, Showit is very similar to designing in Canva. Once you learn it, you can use their free templates that they include with just your monthly subscription, and you can create a site with minimal time investment. On that note, a tip that I don't often share enough is that if you are going the DIY website route, please, please, please do not try to build everything from scratch like I did in the beginning. I spent so much time on YouTube researching and watching videos and trying to figure out how to do everything from scratch without realizing that there are so many templates out there that are amazing and will save you so much time. You can look for templates that are specifically designed for coaches or consultants. You can buy these on some websites like Creative Market, or like I mentioned with Showit, a lot of these systems come with templates already built in that you can just download and put directly into your site and then start editing from there. Using these templates that are already optimized for conversion and for effectiveness will save you so many hours on trying to design your site on your own from scratch. You also want to remember that your website does not need to be elaborate whenever you're starting out. The essential pages are just a homepage that clearly explains what you do, an about page that builds connection and trust, a services page that details your packages, a contact page, and perhaps a simple blog. You can always add more to it as your business grows and as you see the need for it. And one other thing that I wish I had known when I started is that you do not need to launch with a perfect website. It's better to just get something simple up and going that will allow you to start taking clients rather than spending months and months perfecting every detail of your website while not making any money. So, out of those three approaches, which approach is right for you? It really depends on three main factors. First, of course, is your budget. If funds are tight, starting with I Help Moms or the minimal CRM approach makes the most sense. Second, your timeline. How quickly do you want to launch? The website approach is typically going to take the longest to implement, while the other two approaches can get you up and running in a matter of days. Third, your tech comfort level. You can learn so much more than you maybe think you're capable of learning. But if you break out in hives at the thought of creating a website, maybe starting with a platform like I Help Moms or focusing on the CRM approach would reduce your stress. One of our graduates, Christina, just shared with me yesterday that she had clients asking her to work with them before she even officially graduated. So she started very, very simply by just sending out invoices through Venmo while she took her time building her website on her own. Another graduate in comparison, Hillary, who has a background in marketing, went all in from the very start, and she hired a team to support her with branding, website, marketing, and a full business launch plan. Both of these graduates had a great business launch and are continuing to grow their businesses successfully. So I always tell my students that there is no single right way to launch. What matters most is that you just start somewhere and you can always evolve your approach as your business grows. The key to all of this is to start with what feels manageable for your current situation. Do not let perfectionism or the feeling that you need to have everything in place prevent you from launching. So, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to share one more piece of advice that I wish somebody had told me whenever I was starting out. Focus your initial investments on things that directly generate revenue or save you significant time. It is very, very easy for us to get caught up in purchasing business cards, fancy logos, elaborate photo shoots, or even expensive coaching programs whenever you're first starting out. But the truth is, most of these things will not lead directly to paying clients. Instead, you should focus your limited startup funds on creating a simple but professional way for clients to find you and book your services, setting up efficient systems that make it easy to serve those clients, and a way to manage contracts. Everything else can come later as your business grows and generates profit. Remember that some of the most successful sleep consultants that I know started with the most minimal setups. What set them apart was not fancy branding or websites. It was their dedication to helping families, their commitment to continuously learning, and their consistency in showing up and providing value. If you are feeling overwhelmed by all of the options and costs, take a deep breath. Choose the approach that feels most aligned with your current circumstances, and remember that you can always evolve your business as you grow. The most important thing is just to start somewhere, and we provide detailed step-by-step guidance for all of our students inside our Business Accelerator, so you will never be alone in figuring it out. And if you're interested in learning more about our Sleep Consultant Certification and Business Accelerator program, both of which include significant support around mindset and confidence building, both of which include significant support around business building and launching and becoming an expert as a sleep consultant, you can schedule a call to chat with me directly or to connect with one of our graduates, Michelle. The link to do that is in our show notes, or you can visit thecradlecoachacademy.com/contact to schedule that call. Thank you again so much for tuning into today's episode of Moms Making Money. If you found this helpful, please, please, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share with a friend who may benefit from it. I will catch you on the next episode.